this is probably one of the best stocks I think we're going to bring to the channel that people need to act on literally today. And that is Fiverr. I don't see anyone in the world at the moment talking about this company. And it's probably because our channel is all about acquisitions and trading below fair value. But if we pull up the chart here, really interesting, technical's been trading sideways for a while, which is a good swing trade from just technical traders' standpoints anyway. But actually, it's the fundamentals. I mean, this is some of the craziest fundamentals I've seen for a NASDAQ company in a very long time. 370 million market cap. They're earning as well. I mean, 20 million, 21 million, and now forecasting to be earning more. 270 million in cash. That figure is actually 366 million as of Q1. So it's basically you're buying the whole business model for free. So that multiple is normally 5 is generous. Like let's see what the P ratio. It says 5. Like it's trading on a 5 times P multiple, which is really low anyway. All these stupidly valued companies trade at 30 to 40 times their multiple, and this is going to be forecast to be going up. But ignoring all of that, you're buying that for free anyway. You've got 366 million in cash for a 370 million market cap. It's actually scary how something can be so undervalued. And I think you make a good point
Yeah.
before the call that maybe it's because of the AI stuff and people think like, oh, people aren't going to use Fiverr. I hire so many employees from Fiverr, and what they're doing, they're adapting, they're using AI, but there's still people still paying people through Fiverr for this stuff. And that's proof in the pudding where the stock was where it was during COVID and stuff. Everyone was hyping, like Robinhood and things like that, which we'll
I
talk about in a
think
second.
$192 a share was the high.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually so beaten down now. I mean, you can see it can go on really big tears here, sideways trading, big tears. And in this period, they were losing loads of money. They've never really been earning any money. And now all of a sudden they've turned the corner. They were losing 65 million at the time, and yet they were trading so many times higher. This might be one of the biggest beatdown stories I've seen in a long time. Normally we look at
Is it?
London companies and it's easy to spot these stuff, but for a US based company where earnings are normally, valuations are fairer or more inflated, to see something at such a discount is actually scary. It's actually,
It's also an obvious acquisition target, as we were just saying before
mm,
we started recording. I mean, anyone that's got a spare $360 million around, you can get this business for free because it's
mm,
got the cash in the bank to cover your acquisition costs, and you'd have to pay probably 500 million for it. But if someone's going to, that's the other benefit of buying the shares right now.
yeah.
You're going to, there's a likelihood that somebody's going to come along and buy it for a much higher price than the current share price.
Yeah, I'm just using AI to check who the largest shareholders are because that's something we do. I mean, if the existing people want an extra strategic investor, obviously we would come in. But there's also hostile ways people get control of these companies. I think I sent you a text message just the other day. I said, I've got orders now at 10.25. Yeah, 10.25. That's exactly what I did, and that's because you can see literally based on the chart. Obviously, the 200 moving average is up here, so that'd be a first level of resistance. But if you're looking at the chart and how it's just now being bought up every single time it gets sort of around that $10 range, and then also, you've got the swing low there. It's quite easy to then watch the 9 period moving average, which we've shown before, wait for price to slowly get above it, and then it starts to have moves up, and you could be trading even just these tiny moves. Obviously, you should be holding this long term anyway, but maybe you swing some of this anyway. But the reason I had 10.25 as an order, and this is still really good value. Buy it now anyway. But 10.25 was the order I had, is because we were hugging that 9 moving average, and then we're getting down to the level where it was previously, and now we're closing above that 9 moving average. So 10.25 was why I had the order there, higher than the previous days, above the 9 moving average, and now we are on the move. So this is why this is a very time sensitive video, purely because this is so undervalued, and I'm gonna have to repeat some points again. Literally,
Your downside is very limited here. So you got that $10 mark. It's unlikely to fall much below that, and you can put a very tight stop on there in case it does. But yeah, I mean your downside is limited, and upside, it could be in certain situations a 5 or 10x.
yeah. And actually, looking at the shareholders here, it doesn't look like they've even got control. Insiders only have 12 to 16% of the company, which is actually makes it even more of an acquisition target as well. Elon Musk, who we covered in the last video, should probably be buying this rather than some of the other things he's buying, because then he's getting
Probably too small for him, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely going to be on the radar of some people, maybe some of the private equity companies.
I mean, some of the groups here do have 8 or 9, 10%, so they could be banding together, but that might also explain why the stock's falling. Maybe there's no insiders. The guys that are running it are just interested in their fees, their wages for the company. They don't really care about the stocks. They don't have any stock. So, yeah, that is a very for all the insiders of the company to only have 12 to 16%. It is very interesting. That is even more bullish than what I've already seen. The CEO owns about 5 to 7%. Yeah, and maybe they might announce some buybacks, or if someone starts to try and acquire this is going to start rising quite aggressively. One parallel I wanted to bring is the Robinhood story. I mean, same sort of story. 2021, loads of hype. Everyone's at home, everyone's working, everyone's trading, and then everyone working Fiverr wise and having side hustles. That comes down to it's like $9 to $10 range, and I don't think we had the YouTube channel at the time, but I was telling loads of people about this. Like, it's trading sideways for ages. It's come to that $9 to $10 range, and often I think NASDAQ companies list. I mean, even I think Trump Media started at $8 to $9 to $10 before it rose to like 200 or 300. So a lot of these NASDAQ companies get down to their kind of, if they come back down to their listing price, which is around that $10 range, they start to trade sideways. The people at the company don't want to dilute because they don't want to, hurt their reputation on of a NASDAQ listing. Trade sideways, starts to trade above the 200, and then this went on an absolute parabolic run because then the
So
earnings.
10x.
Yeah, an absolute 10x, and very easy times to buy as well when it gets back above the 200. 1, 2, 3. So easy. I mean, here it didn't even get back above its 9 period moving average when it came to the 200, so you wouldn't have even had a false entry here. So, but it is a very good. I mean, Robinhood is a good company, but I wouldn't cover it now because of how things have played out. But this will be the same story. Was losing money, even though everyone was hyping. Look, even 2021, look at the money it was losing. It was losing all of this money in 2021 and 2022 and 2023. Yet the stock was doing what it was all the way up here and having all this fun up here, and everyone was trading it in the GameStop stuff. But then obviously they lost a lot of credibility. But it is a very good parallel, something that was losing money and then all of a sudden starts to turn the corner and make money. And it's a brand name. That's another crucial thing. I mean, Buffett, biggest investor in most successful investor in the US, and then a chap called Jim Slater in the UK was always beating the market. One of his 10 or 20 points was brand names. Like, everyone knows Robinhood, everyone knows Fiverr. That is going to be around for ages, almost based on that alone, ignoring the deep, deep, deep undervalued fundamentals. I mean, I haven't been this excited about something we've covered on the channel for a little while. So I'll be deeply disappointed if it's one of the few that we get wrong, because I think we have like a 90% win rate. And we've called all sorts of things too. But yeah, I
It's,
think
it's, it's, it's definitely a good buy here with limited downside. Your biggest risk is that it does
dilute.
nothing for another year. Continues a sideways move for another year, which is always possible as well. But I think you're right. I think it's going to start moving pretty soon.
Yeah, Robinhood didn't have, like, let's have a look. In 2023 or 2024 had 1.4 billion. It did have a lot of cash. Let's have a look here. We'll call it about a billion in cash in 2020 in 2023 or whatever, minus the what do you call it? So it's 10x, so it would have been at 10 billion. So it had a billion in cash for a 10 billion market cap at the time when it was trading in this zone here. So that was a way worse fundamentally, from an acquisition point of view, whereas this has got earnings, the same sort of story as Robinhood, but more importantly, it's an acquisition opportunity as well on such a level where it's trading below its cash in the bank. That is truly incredible, ignoring the actual earnings it is already earning and forecast to earn. I mean,
It's
just
got it's trading below its cash. It's a profitable company. It's got earnings. Plus, it's got this brand name. So
yeah,
it's got to be a good opportunity either for investors to see the share price take off, or for someone to go in and buy it. In which case, they're going to have to pay more than the current share price in any case. So
absolutely.
either way, I think your downside is limited by picking up some of the stock.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as you can see here, the earnings have already turned the corner as well. and you're basically buying all of that for free, and that should be trading at like a 10 times P ratio minimum anyway. So it should double on here based on the earnings regardless, and those earnings are forecast to drastically increase. And yeah, that cash figure is actually much higher as of the Q1, so that's 360 million to 370 million cash. But yeah, I mean, obviously everyone can see, hopefully from the sort of animation from myself, but also your knowledge, that this is a good opportunity. We are going around a little bit of circles, but some points do need to be repeated because of how insane this opportunity is. I haven't seen any big YouTuber in the world cover this, so you know, this is probably going
Well,
to 100. This is probably going to 10x, and we're not going to get any credibility again. But
well, we'll keep an eye on it and keep keep talking about it over the coming months.
absolutely. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's see what happens.